Welcome to Blackwater D&D, where good friends tell better stories. This series, Balance, is a mini-series using the Powered by the Apocalypse system, Godkiller, which was created by Connie Chong and is now available at itch.io for purchase. This series is proudly sponsored by Hero Forge and Moonbeam. This tale takes us back, long before the end of the universe, to a time when we begin to explore and understand old divine wounds that run so very deep, and what happens when love is caught in the middle. This story encouraged us as creators to strive for genuine emotion and connection, relish the space we create at the table, and take big swings with the way we approach our narrative. For this story, your God, everyone else, and the thrum of the cradle is myself, M. Carlson, and my God-killers are played by Gina Susanna and Yanis Wessels. As this game falls within a holy punk and dark fantasy genre, it may contain themes and depictions that are triggering for some listeners. Please take care of yourself and access safe support as you see fit. Content warnings for this episode include
grief and loss, mourning, romance, allusions to sex, discussion of murder, manipulation, substance use.
So sit back and relax, heretics, and welcome to Godkiller, Balance.
Epilogue, beginning.
The balance in the cradle is aligned once more, though for how long we do not know, each change sparking hope from the dire world that came before. And while there will come a time where divinity will once again roar, we can take our space here and allow things to grow. The balance in the cradle is aligned once more. So we leave our two, one seeking to repair and to restore, and the other leaving vengeance behind to embrace the river's flow, each change sparking hope from the dire world that came before. Machinations of the end swirl around, uneasing this universe to its core. Gods will put themselves against each other, not telling friend from foe, yet the balance of the cradle is aligned once more. With oblivion lying ever awaiting its time beneath a deep chasm floor, a twin-souled priest will rise with a gift to bestow, each change sparking hope from the dire world that came before. But for now, we can pause. A breath returned, given back, not taken for. Time with each other given out of love rather than something to owe. The balance in the cradle is aligned once more, each change sparking hope from the dire world that came before. Reese. Ages beyond ages stand before you here in the river. You have spent this entire journey with ever wishing you had more time, and now you have it. Perhaps not in the way you wished, perhaps not in the way you thought, but it is time nonetheless. You begin to learn the ways of the new realm you inhabit, how it ebbs and flows as a river should, how it lives and breathes in its own way. But as with all new things, comes change. How do you change here? Your countenance? The way you look? What is different now as you adjust to a world beyond what mortals can touch?
I think in the first couple of days after Reese finds himself in the river, it's as if he has awakened that young boy again from a nightmare. There are large parts of himself that were underdeveloped because of the path that he was set on. There's a lot of childlike wonder at the place he finds himself and the possibility that he could be happy there. Not that that erases what he experienced, but as almost as if he gets to rebuild the foundation of who he is underneath the house that stands on top of it. As far as physical changes, I think he decides that he no longer wants to wear black. He wants a life that is filled with color, a life that is bright and joyful. And I think in the beginning, he has no idea how to do that. So he wears jarringly bright clothing that clashes with one another. And rather than feel any sense of embarrassment when it is noticed, not that I think anyone here would scoff at it, but rather than feel embarrassment when it is noticed, he finds joy in the fact that people notice that he is expressing that volume of attire.
Mm-hmm.
And as the time goes on, I think he settles into a sort of color palette that is primarily greens and leathers and moss and stone. I think for the first time he really discovers what his favorite color is. There's always a part of him every morning that he wakes up, when he opens that small closet in his room and he gets dressed and he regards himself in the mirror, that he wonders what Ever would think, whether she would like it, whether she would be proud of him for taking this opportunity and giving it his all and trying not to be sucked down into the depths of the grief that he feels at her loss. I think that's, for him, the hardest part about being here, is that he's grieving for someone who didn't die, for someone who got to live, and grieving for a selfish desire to have her here beside him, even though that would have meant her dying as well. I think he wears his hair down, cascading around his shoulders. It's curly here in the humidity, and his hands grow calloused as he finds joy in physical work. I think he sees a lot of Avasan in him, and starts to understand the purpose that he found in that more manual labor that he didn't see when he was younger. The act of building, the act of contributing to make things for others, to make things for the community. And I think he's happy. And I don't think he's at a point yet where he's quite ready to look too closely at whether or not that happiness is real, or whether he's faking it until he believes it himself.
Your father was the first to greet you here on the banks, as we saw, waiting for you as you arrived. You spend your time together, catching up, reforging that bond between the two of you over simple tasks, fixing mending, building, creating. Are there other ways that you fill your time? What becomes important to you when an endless eternity is set out before you?
I think in the beginning he occupies himself with a lot of easily completable tasks. Things that projects he can start that have a finish that he can then move to the next. I think in his mind he's still operating as a normal person would, where there's an end in sight. Even though he knows that's no longer the case, his whole life he has been one task to another. And I think it takes him quite a few months before he gets to a point where he realizes, I don't need to make these tasks completable in short periods of time.
Mm-hmm.
I can start grand projects that take hundreds of years if I want. And I think he then begins to acquire skills. I think he finds a joy in learning, and he starts off learning to build, and then he learns about cultivating plants, and then he learns to sail. And I think it's when he starts going out on the water that he finds something that really makes him happy. The feeling of being on a boat and the wind tearing through his hair and the salt spray on his skin. At this point, it's been almost a year since he's been here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the closest he's come to feeling like flying, which was the only thing he really enjoyed about his past life. And I think he spends quite a few months working a fishing boat, enjoying his time out there with other people, the pointless conversations, the joking, the camaraderie of time spent together, multiple days at sea. And then one morning he wakes up. He goes out and he finds a forest just outside of the small village that he finds himself. And he picks a spot not too far into the forest, but just far enough so you can't quite feel the press of the other people. And he starts to build. He starts to clear away an area. And he remembers what the small house looked like, of the window that he peeked through. And more than anything, he remembers the warmth that was in that house, the love. And he spends days finding the perfect rocks for the foundation, finding the most beautiful pieces of wood. Slowly he builds a small little house, something for himself, something that would be perfect for when the time comes.
Your father visits often and helps. He takes pride in seeing you grow, helping shape you into the wonderful young man that he always knew you to be. The dead create space for themselves. And while we would see this as their souls floating down the river, they must be afforded their space and time to rest, allowed to create, allowed to pursue and have the things that they never could in life. And of course, there is the matter of your divinity. You are a godling, the son of a god, or at the very least, the child of an avatar of the vast power of revenge, betrayal, and retribution. Do you choose to shed that? Do you leave that divinity or any aspects of it behind?
I don't think it occurs to him in the beginning that that is even something that is still there. It's been part of him his whole life, and it would be akin to trying to feel an internal organ if there was no pain there. But I think that as time goes on, that divinity being present in him, it colors his personality in a way that no matter how happy he is or how joyful he finds his new surroundings, he can be quick to anger, quick to feeling slighted. And I think there comes a point where he realizes that that part of him, the shrapnel that is Rake, that is still embedded in him, needs to be removed, and he needs to let it go. And I think one evening, as the sun is setting, he finds himself in a place that you can find him most nights. A small blanket resembling a shawl spread across the sand, a few feet from where the waves lap. He takes an empty wine bottle from the dinner that he's just finished with Avasan. Avasan's retired for the night, but Reese has stayed behind, listening to the waves, remembering a similar time. The thought of that time, the thought of her, helps him to feel those pieces. Those were never pieces of the person that she loved. And he takes that wine bottle and he thinks about her, and he thinks about his mother. And I think for the first time, and possibly the only time up until that point, he cries, and as he cries, he places the bottle beneath his chin, catching those tears. He takes the discarded cork, pressing it into the bottle, holding the bottle close to his chest. I think the moment right before he throws it, he's scared. Scared of what it would mean for him to be mortal. Scared to let go of the only thing his mother ever thought to actually give him. And then he throws it into the ocean. He folds the blanket. He makes his way back to the small, at this point half-finished, little house in the woods. And I think that's the night that he plants the first foxglove in the front yard.
The thing about divinity, yours particularly, is that it's not just something you acquired. It's in your bones. It's in your blood. And you are able to condense and extract that which no longer served you. But there will always be a piece of divinity that is yours, what you have created for yourself. There is a small piece of divinity in everyone. And being the child of a god is like an amplifier for that. You find that what is left of your divinity, manifests itself sometime later into some smaller, lesser magics. Hedge magic, if you will.
What does it look like? What can you do?
I think it's mid-afternoon. They're at the house, and Ave-san is with him, and there are a couple other people who've come from the village. It's time to finish the house, and they need people to help lift the beams that will support the roof. And there is a moment where the large wooden beam that Risa spent weeks planing and carving, this beautiful piece of wood where the underside is carved with vines and flowers, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to lift it to place it in place. And Reese, almost as though he's having a vision, a moment where he steps out of himself, and as he drifts back from himself and views everything from above, he can see how it all fits together. He can see exactly how they need to set up the ropes and the pulleys. It's as if his brain can triangulate all of the trigonometry that is required to accomplish this feat based on instinct. But then he sees that this new talent doesn't extend to just the physical. He can see how the people fit with each other. He can see how they make each other better. He can see how they grate against one another. And he realizes that his knack for manipulation that he exploited for so long might actually have been something else. Something else, not just a charismatic personality, but an ability to see people, to understand people. And I think after that, he finds small ways to use this for the benefit of others. See when a fellow fisherman's partner isn't happy with him, so he hands him flowers at the end of a long day to take home to her. He can stop arguments seemingly before they happen. He becomes someone who is seen as a mediator in the village. Someone people come to solve problems in a completely different way than he ever solved them before. And as time goes on, I think he starts to see how he fits into all these people's lives. And that feeling of being needed, of being valued by the community, it's the beginning of him not feeling so alone.
We've talked a lot while telling this story about what makes us human, what shapes and creates and underlies our humanity. And I think you come to discover that the divinity that has always run in you is something to be cherished, celebrated, allows you to feel like you belong, something you could have never felt. Truly, if you'd have held on to all of it. And I think there comes a day, not long after the house is finished, once you've truly settled in, made it your own. I couldn't say how long it was for you. Time is different here. This entropic hum that plays between the wisps of the river and the weave itself. What is a day in the material could be an era here. It's hard to say. The dead don't really need to keep track. You're inside. It's evening, just after sunset, and you hear a knock at your door. And you hear soft footsteps come up the porch with a jingle of jewelry that you would know anywhere.
Reese runs to the door. He knows who this is. He flings the door open. His face split into a huge smile. There are small beginnings of crow's feet at the corners of his eyes. And I think the thing she would see is, even though he hasn't aged, his face bears the lines and creases of someone who smiles often.
The smile would instantly be met with one in kind. You've created something quite beautiful for yourself.
Thank you. Come in. I've just gotten dinner started.
I would be honored. Thank you. She steps inside, removing her shoes and pulling the shroud off of her horns and hanging it on one of the coat hooks. She looks around and you just see joy. You just see unfettered joy at seeing what you've made for yourself and made of yourself here, in a place where she holds eminent domain.
I think Reese would be slightly abashed, a little uncertain, desperate to impress, but also not really sure where to start. What brings you here? Are everything's all right?
It is, yes. I'm sorry I couldn't have come sooner.
Oh, that's all right. You came at the perfect time. I've only really just settled in.
I know. I wanted to give you space to figure this out. Of course, I couldn't help and guide and make sure you have everything you need, but there is something to be said about getting your feet underneath you.
No, it's been wonderful. It's been the happiest I've ever been.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I do what I can here to hold the sacredness of the river. Those who exist here, my charge is everyone who has ever walked this earth, this place, across all planes, they deserve something to come home to. And if I can play a part in that, then well, I am doing my job.
I don't mean to disagree with a god, especially not one who's been so kind to me, but if after death there was nothing, that would also be what a lot of people deserve. This goes beyond that. This is true kindness.
Well, I appreciate it. I have a theory that when parts of the world die, are overtaken by the radiation or fall away or crumble away entirely, that they come here in some semblance of what they were. There was a hell once. I'm sure there is one out there somewhere. I have only been the caretaker of the river for 18 millennia now, give or take. I can't see it all. I am just one being.
How fare things on the material plane? Things are well.
She's all right.
She's safe.
She is. It has been much less time for her than it has been for you. Yet I would posit that she has undergone maybe an equivalent amount of changes as you have. But that's not for me to spoil.
She was never one to be stagnant.
Certainly not. I'm helping her with the adjustment. And I think, Reese, you would see that while Nephthisiket looks the same as you saw her on the battlefield before the tree, but now with the countenance that you had with her in that market shop in Hood, she seems somewhat dimmer, like there is something missing, something that was there in its fullest extent is now slightly less than what it was before. She doesn't draw attention to it, no remark on it, but it's there.
How are you?
Busy. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it is just a thing. I have to be many places at once. So when I get to truly pause and hope that the cradle can oversee itself for an hour or two or longer, I think that's when I feel that tiredness coming in sometimes. What a thing for a god to get tired. Feels ungrateful sometimes, but I try my best. I try to find things that bring me joy. I spend time amongst the priestesses. I walk the streets of glass. I try and stay amongst the people as much as possible. It reminds me why I do what I do.
You are well.
Yes. You need not worry.
If you need help, I could. No, I couldn't.
And I appreciate the offer all the same.
Do you meet many in the river who cruelly only find their purpose for life after it's no longer truly a life?
I think I meet more that never got the chance to have the life they deserved. And now, with freedom from time, from strain, without barriers of money or station, they can truly build the life they want for themselves. And that feels good enough. Being dead evens the playing field a bit.
I think that he would smile, and that smile would turn slightly sour. I know it's not good to dwell on things that never were or can't be, but I can't help but think that the person I am now could have helped us so much more. My biggest regret is that I never really let her see who I was. I tried to make myself something that was easy to lose. And for me, I think the worst part about it is that at the time, I thought my sacrifice would be something that made me deserving of her love, my protection. But now I realize that she loves me for the things I did. She can't love me for who I was, because I never showed it to her. And she never did that with me, ever was unapologetically herself. And she was truly everything to me.
I think you've been having this conversation over a simple dinner. The plates are cleared. And as you say this, she moves around the simple table, sitting next to you in a chair. She takes a soft hand and places it over top of yours, both of them. It feels warm, and you get hints of that spice and floral and incense. She looks you straight in the eye. Reese, you spent some of the most formative years of your life being told you were worth nothing, less than nothing, that everything that made you, you, was a shame, a black mark on something that could have been so perfect. It is not surprising to me that there was an incredible fear, difficulty, inability to show her what was behind that.
I'm past blaming myself for how things went, for who I was when we met. I just hate that I thought that the things that I did, that somehow, as long as I did the right things, that would make me deserve her love. But I never gave her the only thing she needed.
Would you like a chance to? I see you having kept yourself busy, task to task, and now finally settling in, taking off that mask that you needed for your own protection and so that you could do your work.
I think when she offers this, there's a genuine look of fear on Reese's face. He so badly wants an opportunity to see her, to be seen by her. But I think he's also very, very scared. He's lost her once, and the thought of losing her again, or worse, the thought of it just being different.
I think Neptisiket is intuitive enough to see this all play out on your face.
Yes. The answer will always be yes.
Because I would have stayed until we finished that bottle of wine until I convinced you. She would have killed me if I didn't. Pun intended.
But if there's someone who could, I would need some time to get some things ready.
She laughs. The Lucid Mother and I have been working on something for you. We talk about you both often. The parallels between the two of you. There is both that light and dark within you, shining so brightly. Because darkness can shine. There's nothing inherently scary about the dark. You just have to become comfortable in it. And in many ways, you've halted the eclipse in each other while keeping each other in motion. You do not let each other burn out. You allow each other to shine. Just enough. The mortal world will march on, one foot in front of the other. And while you are now very separate from it, you have been up to this point barred from a mortal joy that you should have never been parted from. When you're ready, sleep and dream. Allow yourself to dream, Reese, and you can go see her as much as you like.
I think when she says that, there's a moment where Reese almost feels like a kid that's been caught doing something he shouldn't. There's a moment where he goes, How did she know that I have purposely been avoiding dreaming? How did she know that at night when they sit on the beach and he has dinner with Avasan, that Avasan doesn't enjoy any of the wine? That Rake will do anything to make sure that he doesn't dream. All right, I will go see her, if only to spare your life.
Nobody can kill me. And I mean that. Our downfalls are a very hidden thing, as you well know. Yanis.
Does Reese's new powers work on Neptisicket?
Well, since we have yet to roll any dice this session, perhaps we should. And we should see if they work or not.
All right.
So, what are you trying to do here?
I think this would be feel someone out.
I was actually going to argue wield a power.
Ooh, okay. I like that one better.
So what are you trying to do here?
So now, this is the thing. I don't think that Reese is actively trying to do something here. I think that the way I see it is that his power is almost always sort of semi-active.
Mm-hmm.
He can sort of see things. He can choose to sort of like expend energy to have a closer look, but he's always able to sort of get an idea of how things fit together.
Okay.
And in this moment, I guess my thought is that does he pick up when she talks about her downfall? Does he pick up on anything that would allow him to see how that works? So I don't know if wield of power makes sense because he's not actively trying to discover it. It's more sort of that ability to see how things fit together is always sort of clicking over in the background. And when she talks about her downfall, does he see how it fits with her and what he knows of her?
I understand. I still think wield of power works best here. Because in my mind, this is the power of intuition. Not foresight, but intuition. And while you are not actively engaging this power all the time, when you look at her here, you are trying to deeply intuit something about her. A hidden thing. The most hidden thing. And plus, I just like rolling dice. Well, I like when you roll dice. So, when you wield a power to do something only a god can, a divine act of knowing, a godly act of intuition, roll 2d6 and add 1 for each true statement. You've done this specific act before perfectly. I don't think so.
Not for a god.
Not for a god. You're desperate for this to work. Are you desperate?
I mean, I don't know if I can take strain in the river, but I'm not desperate because I think it's not fully actively knowing that he's doing it.
Okay. And you're close to a shrine, lair, or domain of the god you took this power from. Well, this power lives in your bones. So I'm going to say yes. So that's 2d6 and add a +1.
I rolled a 7.
Okay. I don't even want to think about what an overkill would have been for this one, but it wouldn't have been good.
She would have known that I knew.
On a hit, 7 to 9, you do it. So, you look at her. Her demeanor is easy. You've been teasing back and forth about the act of killing a god. And she's come here to talk to you about love, about sacrifice, about the connection to another being that is held so highly and cherished. And I'm not going to give you her downfall flat out. That would be a disservice to her. But I think what you can glean from this moment is that she has walled herself so far off from love. Not because she doesn't want it, but because she truly believes that the best thing for herself and the cradle is to not have it. And that's what I'll give you on a hit.
So as she says that Ever couldn't kill her, and that her downfall is very well hidden, I think Rake grows serious for a moment. Well, not to be rude, but I hope that someday someone will know it.
Perhaps.
Don't make the same mistake I did. Don't wait till the river to experience what you deserve.
Noted. I don't think I will quite ever get used to you trying to caretake for me in my domain.
I don't know if there's been anyone who's ever caretook for you before.
Not truly since I became a god. Divinity changes you. It has to. To say that I could be the same person that I was before I stood on that roof of Temple Philedes and have the weave open up before me. I try and keep as much of her as I can. But there is always the work.
Well, I think our shared sister would be very disappointed in me if I didn't advocate for your happiness at least once in a while.
She does.
Is she well?
I'll send her by sometime and you can see for yourself.
I would love that.
Heavens forbid you get both of us in the same place at once. You'll never get a word in edgewise.
I would need more wine, but that would be a night to remember.
I think the evening goes on very pleasantly. It's so easy. You sit in your living quarters in front of the hearth, and she remembers times from when you were little, what she observed as the cat on the fence post. She tells stories of her life at the Thanatia, and I think you get the sense that as long as you wished it, there would be many evenings like this.
I think at some point Reese shows her around the house, and it's only when he starts to show her around, I think, that she truly gets a sort of weird idea of what this strange house actually is. The living quarters, I think she would have been able to see quite clearly, is very similar to his memory of Ever's small house. But as he leads her into the next room, I think she realizes that this house is much bigger than she originally anticipated. He leads her into a small library that bears striking resemblance to the library that Ever and himself hid in. And he takes her up the stairs to the second floor where his bedroom is. And there's something eerily familiar about the stairwell, built separately to the house. It's almost as if he's constructed set pieces of memories that he shared with Ever, a way for him to be able to exist in those spaces because he doesn't allow himself to dream of them. And I think as the listener, if you were watching this time that he spent here fast forward, you would see him sit where he sat in the library, a chair empty next to him. You would see him climb the stairs at night to his bedroom, pausing on the step. These little rituals that he's built into his everyday life that are very much desperate attempts of someone who's scared that he will forget. And I think that night, as it draws to a close and he hugs her goodbye, he skips all of those rituals, knowing what awaits him in sleep.
She bids you a farewell. I think there's a moment for the both of you where you allow a mutual caretaking for each other. She's not trying to be your mother, but she would fill those places for you without the title. You hear her footsteps pad away, and they fade before the jingle does, and she is gone until another day, another visit. Do you try and dream that night?
I think that first night, Reese goes to bed fully intent on dreaming. But I don't know if he actually sleeps a wink. He tosses and he turns and he gets up and he goes back downstairs and he has a cup of tea and he goes back up, and he so desperately wants to sleep that it just doesn't find him. But I think on the next day, he's sitting in the library, a book on his lap, the sun coming through the high windows, warm on his face, tired from the lack of sleep the night before, and he drifts off to sleep. The book falls to the ground.
Ever. You awaken in your room in the dreamscape. your eyes fluttering open softly. Last time you were here, you appeared on a balcony outside of your room, but now you're in it. What do you see around you? What does your room look like?
But there's sun streaming through the curtains and birds are singing and it's warm, but not hot. And it just feels right. I think there have been many mornings where I've woken up and instantly the dread hits me, but not here.
Not here. You look around and you see on your bedside table a note in Reese's handwriting. What does it say? Yanis.
It says, "Good morning, sunshine. I'm waiting for you. You know where to find me."
What would you like to do?
I don't think Eva has smiled as large as she is right now in a very long time. And I'm going to fold the note and put it in my pocket. And then look over myself, and I'm still in my sleeping clothes. I need to change. I'm gonna go to my closet, and I know it's silly, but I want to look beautiful when I see him. So I'm going to look over the options in my closet.
A yellow sundress.
That's the one.
That's the one.
And I put it on, and I move to the mirror and look at myself. And I think about how all the time we've known each other, even though it was too short. We'd never really gotten the opportunity for him to see me like this. I look at myself in the mirror once more, and there's a few wrinkles. I pass my hand over the front of it and smooth the wrinkles. And as I run my hand over it, I make it so it fits just right.
You can do that now. Your powers of repair don't really have a limit that you've found just yet. And as you're preparing to go, you remember Onira's words. You walk out into the hallway. The room next to yours is his. The door is ajar.
I stand out in the hallway just for a moment to see if I can hear anything.
You do not.
I take one last breath, and I knock lightly.
At your knock, the door swings open a little bit more, and you find it empty. Not empty of furnishing, but he is not in it. But I would love to know what it looks like inside.
You see a single bed, and there is a wool blanket of a rainbow of colors, muted, but every color, and it is thickly knit. It is comfortable and warm, and you see there's not much other furnishing in the room, but the room is exploding with flowers. Just vases of them, plants, and there is wood carvings. All the beams have been intricately carved, vines, flowers. If you were to squint, it would almost seem as though the bed was sitting in a forest glade. And the smell, it is the smell that, it's the amazing thing about smell. You can't smell the sun, but you can smell the effect the sun has on everything that it touches. And that's what you smell. As though this room has been baking in the sun. Makes everything sharper. Makes everything more.
What would you like to do?
I think I move through this room, touching everything. The blanket, the bed, the flowers, the walls, the books on the shelf. Everything I know is his. And I think it's when I make my way to... Is there a window in this room?
There is.
What's the view?
It's on the back half of the building, so you would see a beautiful countryside marked with other villas, houses, and miles of sky. But it too is slightly ajar, and you do hear the sound of the ocean.
And I know of all the places, I know where I'll find Reese.
You do. So you meander your way down the hallways, staircases, and landings.
I don't think I meander. I think I'm moving quite quickly.
Running?
When no one can see me.
You exit the villa where your room is housed. You move briskly past the doors, and the names on them have become clearer for you to understand. You see the names of other mortals, none you recognize. One door after another, in which the beings of the cradle live their lives beyond the one in which they're slumbering. Dreams have power. And here, in your newly ascended form, you understand why this place exists as it does. And it feeds you. Dreams hold hope. You feel yourself invigorated in this place, as if the divinities of the dreamscape hold inherent ties to the divinity you've tethered yourself to. Your hunger is hope. As you get outside, the sky swims a pastiche of pinks, purples, blues, oranges, golds. This Arcadia, a familiar balm to the dark corners of the cradle that you have been forced to see. And as you move quickly down the slope, you move between 20 or so similar buildings that line this pathway on a decline, winding between phosphorescent gardens towards the crystal waters of the shores of serenity. You broach the end of the path, worked stone giving way to miles and miles of white sand as the water laps about 20 feet down. And as you look down the beach, Reese, what does she see?
She sees a blanket stretched across the sand, a picnic basket placed at the edge of it, but there's no Reese there. Then you hear it, the sound of splashing. And he hasn't seen you yet, but you see him swimming. His skin that was once so pale is sun-kissed.
It's here where I take my time, moving closer, slowly, just watching you. And I stop when I get to the blanket. And I wait until you see me first.
As you watch him, you see someone playing in the waves with a childlike enjoyment. And I think throughout the entire time that he's been in the water, not more than a few minutes go by that he doesn't throw a glance back at the blanket to make sure that he hasn't missed your arrival. And in one of those moments where he glances back and he sees you standing there, he turns to face you, a brief look of uncertainty on his face, and then he sees you. He really sees you, and he smiles, a smile like you never saw in all the time that you knew him. And I think in that moment, you see him like a sunset to your sunrise. As he sprints towards you, he doesn't falter, he doesn't hesitate. He embraces you. You feel the water from the sea soak through your yellow dress. But the thing you notice most is his skin is warm. Like his room. Feels sun-baked. His face pressed into your neck. He holds you so tightly, as if attempting to pull you into him so that you can be one rather than two.
As soon as you pull her into a hug, she just laughs and smiles and holds you as tightly as she can. I pull you as close to me as I can, and I've missed you so much. I pull myself just back enough so that I can look at you. I place my hands on either side of your face and brush some of the hair away. It's curly now. And I look at you, Reese.
You came.
You're really here.
I've missed you.
And as you say that, I pull you into a kiss. Like I've never kissed you before. Freely. Without worry, without hesitation, without guilt.
And as you kiss him like you've never kissed him before, the kiss you get in return is unlike any kiss Rake ever gave you. This kiss is soft, where his was hard. It's warm, whereas it was cold. And it's a kiss that screams of beginnings rather than endings. And as our lips part, he presses his forehead against yours. I spent years thinking what I would say to you when I saw you again. If I had the chance. There was only one thing that ever made me happy before. And that was you. And I have spent the last, I don't even know how long, finding every other thing that could possibly make me happy. Only so that I could stand here and say that it's still you that makes me happiest.
And I kiss you again. I have so much to tell you.
I want to know everything.
But it can wait. Do we have time? No.
We have every night.
We have so much time. And my fingers move to trace the laugh lines around your eyes. Reese, you were radiant.
I'm just trying to keep up. Are you all right?
I think you see this look cross my face as you say that. But we're all every other time you've asked me that, you would see tiredness or grief or sadness or confusion that you were so accustomed to, and here I just look happy now that I'm with you. Did you know that they put our rooms next to one another's?
I don't know if they had a choice.
No.
I'm sorry it took me so long to come. I hope you haven't been waiting long for me.
Reese, I'll always wait for you. I was thinking about what I would do when I saw you. And I was thinking I was going to ask you if you wanted to go to the beach with me, but you were always one step ahead. Is it everything you wanted?
It is now. You know, I learned to sail and fish.
You see, Eva looks surprised at that. You did?
Yes. And every night, Ava-san and I, we have dinner on the sand. I'm sorry, I've spent years always leaving a space empty beside me for you, and now you're here, and that space is no longer empty, and I built a house.
Where? Will you show me?
It's in the river. I don't think I can take you there yet. But
Well, tell me all about it.
it's beautiful.
What's it like?
And I think at this point, Reg becomes a little self-conscious of the fact that if he describes the house, it'll just seem very sad. But it's wonderful. It's got a library, and it's very similar to one that I'd seen before, foxgloves are amazing. They're everywhere.
The foxgloves.
Yes. Did you go home?
I did. Though, and you see a look, just a brief flash of tentativeness across my face. Reese, after you, the Sisychit was very kind to me. She cared for me in ways that I can't ever repay. And part of that, and you see Eva is struggling to know how to say this before she just... Then this whole time, she hasn't let go of you. Until now, she takes just a half step back so you can see her a little more fully.
And Reese, as she does that, I'm going to have you roll to recognize a god. So, I feel like we have to end where we began. When you want to recognize the signs or influence of a god of the cradle, roll 2d6 and add 1 for each true statement. You're in or near their domain. No. You're familiar with their gospel. Yes. And it would be bad if you didn't know? No. And I will say with this, because it's you and it's her, there is no overkill here. So, 2d6 and a +1.
Well, that's good. There's no overkill because I rolled a 10 +1 for an 11.
That feels fitting too.
That does, feels right.
So on a hit, 7 to 9, the GM will give you a clear interpretation of the omens. Ask your GM a single follow-up question of your choosing, and they must answer honestly. Before you, it is almost like you can see what was and what is. As long as you have known Ever, she has had divinity. The spark of divinity that she carried, that was Tielia's, manifested through Rowan, but stewarded by her. She is no longer a steward, but an owner. She is now a full and true god. You see that her divinity carries traces of the wilds. You assume that that may be remnant of Tielia. You could assume a tie to that forest, the one that she knows so well that you have seen her walk through when you went through the time slip. But it's hers. And you feel an overwhelming sense that the hope you carry with her standing in front of you and whatever you can build between the two of you will sustain her more than food or oxygen ever could. And you can ask me one single question about anything at all, and I will answer it honestly.
What's her downfall?
Gods above. Okay. Okay. Using that intuition in a more honed and practiced manner, you feel as you recognize her, as you see her. You finesse that skill just enough. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not doing this so that you can hurt her. You're doing this to prevent anyone from ever hurting her ever again.
Exactly.
I know you well enough. The forest is important. She is tied to the wildwood. She cannot be away from it for long. She can walk anywhere in the cradle. The wilds are her domain. But she must return to it or feel herself weaken. And that hope you felt that could sustain her. If the thing that nourishes her is hope, the thing that would be her undoing would be someone with no semblance of hope at all who would try and kill her outside of the wildwood. And though I won't reveal this to you, the curse that would follow it would be utterly unbearable. Death would be kinder. What a use of a question.
As Reese stands there, seeing Ever in all her radiance. Oh, my dear. It's wonderful. There's no one better. I'm so proud of you.
I look down at myself and then back up at you. Home is a little different for me now. But only there. Not here.
You were always like this. You were always radiant. Now everyone else knows too.
You could always see that in me.
I could.
Even when I couldn't see it in myself. Do you know one of my favorite parts of all of this? Becoming a... It's still so strange to say it. Becoming a
god.
A god. Aside from the powers and the now being able to see Nevthisiket whenever I want. Who would have thought? Is then I get to come here with you whenever I want, for as long as I want. Sort of. For as long as you'll have me.
Forever.
Will you show me everything? Show me all your favorite places, and you can see she looks a bit bashful as she says, and your room. Maybe. I mean, I saw it but you weren't in it, so it's probably different with you in it, I would imagine.
Would you believe I knit that blanket myself?
You did not.
I did. I tried everything.
When did you learn to knit?
Ever, it's been years for me.
Oh, time is different in the river.
I've spent more time as Reese now than I did as Rake.
As it always should have been.
As you made possible. What is your How do your powers manifest?
You know, it's all still so new. Sometimes I don't even know I'm doing it.
And what is it that you do?
Maybe we can test it out together.
So you're a god now. Do you have duties? What does a day in the life of a god look like? Do you have followers? Worshippers?
Oh, that's going to be weird, isn't it?
I mean, it's nice to know there are others.
I care for the wildwood. I see to it that everything stays alive and green, and that people feel safe, that they have hope.
And as she stands close to you, as she says this, I'm assuming you're either holding her or you have your hands together. You feel her heartbeat under your fingers, steady and strong. She underestimates what she does. She is the heart of the forest. She is the heart of the wilds.
I wish I could show it to you.
I would love that, but having this time with you is more than I thought I would get. I will not spend a second wishing for more.
This is only the beginning. We can be together now, for as long as we want.
As long as you want.
Forever.
Are you sure about that? And as he says that, he will scoop her up in his arms and start slowly walking towards the ocean. Are you sure?
Forever.
Oh, even if I was to, and he will throw her in the
Don't you
water.
dare. Don't you do it.
As she hits the water with a splash, your laughter ringing out. Reese, I think you remind yourself of that time you saw her in the Salak. This is the first of many times that you will make each other laugh. Because you have the time. You have more time. A place that is yours, safe and away from what will become of the world. And we leave you there. Truly, it is time for the world to leave you alone. You have both done more than enough. And while you may not see this, we do. The world moves forward, one foot in front of the other. A year, 2, 5, 10, 20. We fast forward about 30 years. The dreamscape staying mostly unchanged. Purposefully so. While the cradle cannot help but change, straining to keep its footing against the inevitable. It remains peaceful here. Slow and easy, cut off from the darkness of the world that encroaches every year. And we find ourselves upon a grassy embankment, overlooking that same beach. Soavan, the lucid mother, goddess of sleep dreaming an illusion, leans against the railing, a glance falling over the two of you as you both take a long walk on the beach. You're here almost every night. Sometimes she sees you, sometimes she doesn't. The waves lapping at an unchanging shoreline as Faye takes a sip from a swirling mug of tea. Faye pauses and looks to fair left and sighs with a smile. Sister, it is good to see you. Nepthisiket approaches her, unhooking a black prayer shroud, much the same, from her horns and lets it settle over her shoulders. Wordlessly, as they have done so many times before, Soavan offers a mug, with a motion to adjourn to a small table set nearby, still overlooking the beach. Nepthisiket lingers for a moment, a smile truly reaching her eyes as they sit. Soavan's children play close by, the elder ones keeping an eye on those who are still much younger. It has been almost half a millennia since Soavan stopped dreaming, and Faye looks out over them with a wistfulness and a longing that comes from knowing that while they will still be young for ages yet, there will be a time very soon where she will set down the youngest of her children after carrying them and will not pick them back up again. They both sit in silence for a moment, these two divine beings, finding a reprieve of their own in the presence and company of the other.
I cannot thank you enough for doing this, for opening your home to them, for making the exception for him.
Of course. Anything for you. How are they adjusting? I really try to give them space. Weave knows they've had enough of us meddling for one age. Nepthisiket considers this over a sip of tea. It will take time, as in all things. I am more concerned that they get to spend their time together. The world kept them apart for long enough. She continues to test the limits of her power and is starting to find its boundaries. She hasn't felt the full weight of the anchor to the Shanmaher yet, but it will pull her back sharply and she will need to learn that balance. I suspect you see them quite regularly. She's learning what it means to be divine. The responsibility, the isolation, which I know she tries to stave herself off from. She has a lot of questions. I would too, in her position. I don't envy that. The constant back and forth between your divine domain and those very responsibilities. But with the memories of a mortal life. But you, dear sister, above all, don't need a lecture on that. Certainly not. He too is adapting, I think. His father is a good shepherd. I think he's fully let go of his own anchor, the one that was, unfortunately, his by birthright. You keep your children so safe, and she set him up for failure. He has paid any penance she wrought 1,000 times over. So if this place brings them peace and solace, then I am happy to provide that. Nepthisiket smiles softly, but it fades as she pauses, setting down her tea. And while I wish this was simply a social call, I fear I have some unfortunate news that feels pertinent to you. More reason not to dream,
my dear, and to keep those children of yours close. Soavan sets down, Fair Cup leaning forward, a look of both curiosity and concern on her face. What happened? I've held this in too long. I was requested to keep it quiet to avoid panic or power struggle in the wake of the inevitable vacuum. A god fell, made that transition to the river, one of the major seven, and I'm troubled with the inevitable consequences that will come from this, so much that I cannot keep this to myself anymore. Who? Teo. It was about 30 years ago now, and they were killed by... And she is cut off by the approach of Onira, who looks towards her mother. Mother, you have a visitor, and she says it's urgent. Soavan flusters for a moment. She will have to wait, Onira. I have company. Well, perhaps her grace should come too. This visitor has sought audience with both Falir and Tenebe already, and she says you are her last hope. Her name is Palia Andrade, and she dreams of a child. And that is where we will end it. Right there.
Godkiller Balance is performed by M. Carlson, Gina Susanna, and Yanis Vessels. This season's dramaturge is Tim Carlson. We want to extend our thanks to our incredible guests this season: Christian Navarro, Tim Carlson, Anjali Bhamani, Christian Carlson, Luis Carrazzo, Cody Heath, Brennan Lee Mulligan, Matt Mercer, and Abria Iyengar. Our cradle is more alive with you in it. Special thanks to our campaign artist Mishi, who you can find at MishiArt on Twitter. Our main theme for this episode, Light and Dark, was composed by Sean McRoberts. Character and location leitmotifs composed by Cy Rutherford of Sounds of Adventure. Music and effects by Epidemic Sound. For more stories, come follow us everywhere at Blackwater D&D, and make sure to check out our main campaign on Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/BlackwaterD&D. To play your own campaign of Godkiller and dive into your own divinity, go support Godkiller by purchasing the Ashcan on itch.io today, with the print version published soon by Evil Hat Productions. This show is made possible by our sponsors who graciously support us playing pretend and having feelings about it. We are grateful to be sponsored by Hero Forge, who offer fully customizable miniatures made with their online 3D character creator. Head on over to design your own Godkiller and get them printed in a wide variety of materials, including color printing options. With new content added each week, check out www.heroforge.com to start bringing your characters to life. This show is also proudly sponsored by Moonbeam, a better and safer way to stream. Dive into realms for vibrant community hubs where creators keep 100% of what they earn while protected by Pixis, a revolutionary moderation tool that learns and adapts to your boundaries. So check them out and join Moonbeam today. Finally, we're thankful to our patrons for joining us on our second journey through the cradle. You too can come join us on Patreon, where you can check out behind-the-scenes info, our Talkback Show Chatwater, as well as exclusive Godkiller bonus content and so much more. Head on over to patreon.com/BlackwaterD&D for all the details. And never fear, heretics, we will be back to the cradle soon enough. Godkiller and Endymion has entered pre-production, and we can't wait to bring this incredible new show to you soon. See you next time, heretics, and to all the gods out there, be safe.
I should have known. Give me a moment while I find it in my notes. You motherfucker, of course.
I don't know what else you wanted me to ask.
I don't know. Something about how nice your girlfriend is. I don't know.
Wow.
Look, you've been having like fucking the last 15 minutes as the summation of everything that is book talk, and I'm struggling right now, okay? Coming out here asking what her downfall is. Jesus. I have it. Forcing me. Fucking coming into my house. Coming into my house. I'm going to keep the gasp in there.
Mm-hmm. You have to.
You gotta love when you catch your GM. Absolutely not ready for that. Look, I'm ready for book talk boyfriend. I'm not ready for this. Okay. Here we go.
Uncalled for.
Absolutely rude to me and Gina personally.